Digging up the details on the FMS T-28 Trojan 410mm 4-channel gyro ready to fly warbird. Alright, what's in the box? You get the RC airplane, you get the remote control, you get a USB charger, you get 2 flight batteries, and I believe there's a 2 or 3 battery option for the flight battery. You get a spare prop and you get a manual. It's an easy to fly beginner plane. It has a 1-key stunt activation so that you can do rolls and loops with it while it's in fully stabilized mode. It is made of crash resistant EPP foam. It has a 1-key return, which is actually just a 1-key U-turn. Gyro assisted flight with 3 different modes. It has a breakaway prop, which I really like these breakaway props. They save the prop, they save the motor, and they save the gearbox. It has a low battery alarm, not only for the flight battery, but also for the transmitter. Okay, specifications. The brand is FMS. I think this is the very first FMS plane that I have reviewed, and this is courtesy of Banggood. I want to thank them much for sending this for review. The model is a T-28 Trojan. It's 4-channel, has aileron, elevator, rudder, and throttle. As I stated earlier, it's made of EPP foam. Its wingspan is 410 millimeters, so slightly larger than the older 400 millimeter warbirds. It's a 16.1 inch wingspan. The length is 325 millimeter, which is 12.8 inches. It has a 1020 hollow cup brushed motor. It has a 2-gram servo for the ailerons. The flight controller is an all-in-one board, which has a brushed motor ESC. It has 2 1.3-gram servos for the elevator and rudder, and a built-in receiver. The propeller is 5.1 inch 2-blade, but it does not specify what the pitch is. In the specifications, it states that it has a 1S 380 milliamp hour battery. Mine came with 2 1S 400 milliamp hour batteries, and I'm just guessing that those are 20C. I don't know for sure. All right, so the specified takeoff weight, or the all-up weight, is 60 grams. The aircraft with the landing gear installed, less the LiPo, is 54 grams. And my LiPo, which was the 1S 400 milliamp hour 20C LiPo, weighed 11 grams, which gives me an all-up weight of 65 grams. So the specified weight is pretty close. All right, so it comes fully assembled. Even the prop is pre-installed, all except for the landing gear. And the landing gear will just slot into the vertical holes, and then it has plastic keepers. The landing gear has soft foam wheels, which roll smoothly, so I don't have any complaints about the landing gear on this plane. The stock TX is a very good quality transmitter for one of these micro ready to fly warbirds. The gimbals are very smooth, and they have a good amount of travel compared to the typical ready to fly stock transmitter that you get. So I think this one's going to be a lot easier to fly in intermediate mode and in manual mode than most of these little microplanes are, because of the better quality transmitter. The transmitter takes 4 AA batteries. All right, so the gyro modes. First, you have the fully stabilized mode, also known as beginner modes. It's for beginners, can also be used as an emergency mode for more advanced pilots. So if you're flying in intermediate mode or in expert mode, which is manual mode, and you get into trouble, you can always flip it back into beginner mode as a emergency switch, or what I call a parachute button, because in beginner mode it automatically levels the plane. So if you get into trouble, you can flip it back into fully stabilized mode, beginner mode, and it will automatically level the plane. The middle gyro mode is called optimized stabilization, and according to the manual, it counteracts effects of gust and turbulence from the wind, does not interfere with the stick control. So what that sounds to me like is that the intermediate mode, the optimized stabilization mode on this gyro, is nothing more than wind mitigation mode. I hope that is correct, because the vast majority of these little microplanes that I have reviewed just have a less restrictive beginner mode. And the only aerobatics you could really do in that mode are loops. You can't even do rolls with them, or stall turns, hammerheads. So if this is actually just a wind mitigation mode, you should be able to do aerobatics in that mode without any interference from the gyro, other than stabilize for wind. So if that's correct, that's absolutely fantastic. Those are the three modes I always love to have on fixed wing aircraft: fully stabilized mode that will auto level, a wind mitigation mode, and full manual mode. Those are the three modes that I really prefer to have on these gyros. Okay, and then the third position on the gyro for this plane is manual or expert mode, which has no gyro assistance. The gyro assistance is turned off, so it's full manual flight control as though there's no gyro installed. Okay. All right, so here is an image of the transmitter. I wanted to go over that. So you can see this red button right here, that's your stunt button. So while you're flying, and it recommends you have a minimum altitude of 20 meters, right, of altitude before you perform the stunt button. So this red capped button right here. So while you're flying with the minimum altitude of 20 meters, you click that button, you'll hear a beep, and you can either move the stick to the left or to the right to perform a left roll or a right roll, or you could pull the stick back to do a loop. Okay, and I think that, I don't know if that will work in any mode other than fully stabilized mode, but we'll find out when I take it out. You have a return button that you can program before you launch the aircraft by moving the throttle trim button all the way up. You'll hear a beep. It'll record the direction in which the plane is facing. And then it's not really a return button. It's a 180-degree U-turn button is really what it is. So while you're flying, if you want to use that, you can initiate it. Once you've programmed it before you launch, you can initiate it by holding that switch down in the down position. You'll hear a beep, and then the aircraft will make a U-turn and fly back in the opposite direction from which it was launched, but it is not a return to home button. Okay, you've got a trim button here for the rudder. You've got a trim button over here for the ailerons, trim button here for the elevator. This is mode 2. So the left hand stick is the throttle and the rudder. The right hand stick is the aileron and the elevator. All right, and then the mode switch up here, your 3-position switch. And if I remember correctly, with the switch pulled all the way toward you, that is going to be beginner mode, fully stabilized auto leveling mode. And the center position will be the wind mitigation mode, and then pushed all the way back away from you, and the third position will be full manual mode. Okay. So stay tuned for the test flights with this aircraft. That's a wrap on this episode. I'll see you next time in the Tinkerz Lab.